Alright, so it's Christmas Day. I didn't really expect to make this video today, but yeah, happy Christmas if you guys celebrate it. But with that being said, I want to give my thoughts on Code Geass. Like, since we got like a news about the future of Code Geass, I kind of want to talk about it and just give my take on it, because I've seen a lot of mixed reception to the news. I know some people are really thrilled about it or really kind of hate it. Like, I'm one of those people that kind of falls in like the mixed category for a number of reasons, and I think I do have some valid criticism and valid points why I kind of fall in the mixed line, as well as some other people. I'm here to gather like everyone's thoughts on like what's gonna happen. And yeah, I do apologize for like not posting the past week. I just been busy with work, whatever. Usually when I get home, because it's like super early morning job, I get home, I do stuff, and then I tend to fall asleep pretty early. So I do apologize if you guys been wanting content, but I have a lot of videos for you guys planned. And yeah, this is part of my Code Geass series that I mentioned like a month ago or so. I was just waiting on the news. I was actually going to do this, but then I heard there was going to be news, so I decided to hold off on this news. I didn't think I would make this video so late, but yeah, let's just talk about Code Geass. So about a week ago or so, we got like information regarding the future of Code Geass, which is Z of the Recapture. It was announced like 3-4 years ago we were gonna get like a new anime series in the Code Geass universe, but then that news absolutely went nowhere. It went silent for like 3 to 4 years, and I was here wondering like, okay, so why are they gonna announce like a Code Geass sequel series but then absolutely drop it off the face of the earth and like nothing happened with it? I was beginning to think like they just canceled the project entirely and they were just focusing on video games, gacha games, whatever the case is, because Code Geass is still a pretty popular show over in Japan. Despite it being made like almost 20 years ago, it is a really popular show. And then we actually did get some news regarding the future of it, and it's going to be a sequel series to the sequel movie. So like Z of the Recapture was actually renamed to Rose of the Recapture. I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the name was changed due to the Ukrainian-Russian conflict that's going on. If you're not familiar, like the Z symbol is apparently a hate symbol, whatever the case is. I'm not too well versed in that, so I'm not going to talk about that. That's as political I'll get, but I don't know if I can confirm if that's true or not. But regardless, our new series is gonna take place in the same timeline as the Code Geass sequel film. So if you guys don't like that, you might not like this series at all. For me, I'm kind of like iffy on the Code Geass films. I haven't really seen them on there entirely since they are recap films. I have seen the Resurrection of Lelouch, which to me, I thought was an okay movie. I thought they did a pretty good job, but without like knowledge from the recap films, I don't really know. Like, I can't really give my strong opinion on that. I will be watching those films pretty soon and give you guys my full thoughts on it. But Rose of the Recaptured is a sequel series that's going to take place after the end of the Resurrection, and we have brand new characters in Asha and Rose. They're going to be fighting a new order, a new group, and we don't know where in the timeline this is going to take place. Like, if it's going to take place directly after Resurrection or like decades in the future. Like, my best prediction about this series is that it's going to take some time between like a decade to like a generation after the end of the Code Geass series, and the timeline version at least, after Lelouch sacrifices himself. Everyone has already forgotten the memory of Lelouch. Time has passed, and now there's a new group threatening the world with Geass, and then you have this new character, Rose, who's here to stop them, who probably comes in contact with Lelouch, forms a contract of that type. Because if you don't remember, at the end of Resurrection, Lelouch essentially becomes a new version of C2. He goes by L2. He ends up marrying C2 unofficially, but that's just my prediction on how this story is gonna go. We don't really have too much information regarding the story or the characters. We did get a mini trailer and some images of it, which honestly I think it looks pretty good. I know the art style for Code Geass for people is always like a turn off or turn on, but for me, I genuinely enjoy the art style of Code Geass. It's something different. It's something unique that you really don't get to see too much of. To me, in my opinion, that's pretty similar to the One Piece like illustration, to the One Piece type of style, which I'm not the biggest fan of One Piece, but I will admit that a certain design is pretty good. It is pretty good. Before Code Geass, I think it's pretty interesting. And I know I've been seeing a lot of people complain you can't really do a Code Geass film without Lelouch, because the whole point of Code Geass is centered around Lelouch's story, but here's what I don't get. Lelouch's story is essentially over. It's been told in the recap films, it's been told in the sequel and the original anime series, has been told in Resurrection. His time is essentially done. But I want to take a look and compromise here. Like, if you want a story without Lelouch, go watch Aikido the Exile. While it's an okay series, while I genuinely enjoyed it myself, I know a lot of people are kind of mixed on it for the same reason, that it doesn't really center too much around Lelouch or Suzaku, despite them having like brief cameos in those films. The way I like to compare is Code Geass is essentially Star Wars, because the story of Star Wars essentially follows Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader into his descent of madness, into his descent of light and hope. And that's the same thing with Code Geass. It follows Lelouch's story going into madness and then becoming a hero, or being a hero at the same time while falling into madness, yet never giving up in his hope or despair. Those, to me, like, you cannot do Star Wars without Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, because the entire series essentially focuses around them, because the entire Star Wars trilogy, both trilogies, the original and the prequel, is basically the Skywalker saga. And you saw, like, in the sequel series, hate them or love them, it really wasn't the same without like Skywalker. Sure, Luke Skywalker was in there, but it really wasn't that good. It wasn't really focused too much. So yeah, like doing the story sometimes without the main character, without the main focus, sometimes is either a big hit or a big meh. Just take it the sequels, for example. If you love them, good for you. For me, I'm not the biggest fan of them, just because it's like, it's just missing something. It tried to do something, but it didn't really do it in a good way, which is kind of like what concerns me about this sequel series. It's split into 4 parts, this new Rose of the Recapture, and it's going to premiere theatrically in Japan in May of 2024, which I am super excited, but I'm kind of bummed at the same time, just because we probably won't get information about that release here in America, at least for like 2 to 3 months. Because if you're not familiar, anime films tend to release like a year to like half a year after they debut in Japan, which is really unfortunate. But I'm gonna see if I can, I don't know, I really want to watch it. But yeah, I'm really cautiously optimistic, because like doing a series without the main character of Lelouch, it's kind of iffy. Aikido the Exile, despite them being OVAs, it was kind of like mixed reception on them for majority of the part. Like, people hate them or people love them. Like, you either fall into those 2 categories. With this new series, I'm really cautiously optimistic. Like I said, it's basically like Star Wars without Anakin. And before you comment, oh, you can do Star Wars series without like Anakin, yeah, Ahsoka, the Mandalorian exists, but they do reference like what happened. Well, not the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is kind of its own thing, which is really good up until like the 3rd season. I thought that was okay, to be honest. But you can do stories without the main protagonist, such as Andor as well, but sometimes it's kind of iffy. Like I said, it's hit or miss. So with this series, I'm really hoping it recaptures like the original glory of the anime series, where it made people fall in love with it, because I'm really cautiously optimistic for this and the future of Code Geass. Because like I said, we haven't really had like too much Code Geass news in like the past 3 to 4 years, and for like a while I thought Code Geass was essentially dead, like dead in the water. But with this new revival series, sequel, movie, whatever you want to call it, it's got me really hyped, at the same time really cautious, just because doing a story without the main protagonist is hit or miss. But what I do predict is that in the film we will get like some cameo of Lelouch or C2, that they're going to be involved in some way or another in the story, because like I said, you can't do this series without involving them in some way, form, or shape. But that's just my thoughts on the Code Geass series, on the Code Geass sequel series. Like, I'm really cautiously optimistic. I am still going to be watching it, just because I'm a really big fan of Code Geass. It's my favorite anime of all time. Like, I have a C2 tattoo on my arm right here. It is literally my favorite anime ever. Like, it is so good, and for me to hear this news is pretty exciting, but at the same time a bit worrying. But that's just my thoughts on my hype on it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Are you excited? Are you thrilled? Do you hate this news? Do you hate the way that they're going? Or let me know what you think down in the comments. Have a good Christmas, and I'll catch you guys on my next one. So yeah, peace.